thought we were onto something good with this. But then I read 5 books in October, so let's talk about them. First of all, we have Days at the Morisaki bookshop. After a hard breakup, Takako decides to quit her job and move in her uncle's bookshop. I found this story to be extremely wholesome and very cute, and also very fitting for this season. And I also found it quite funny at times in almost childish ways. It was pretty short, and I think my primary complaint, or only complaint really, is that it was probably a bit too short. I would have liked more from this story. Then I read From Blood and Ash. Poppy lives a solitary life known as the Maiden, and her primary purpose is to serve the gods. But she starts to question this purpose when she meets Hawk. I like this surprisingly much. I kind of started it on a whim. It was not really on my radar as something I wanted to read. And it was by no means perfect. It was quite predictable, and the writing could get a bit repetitive at times. It was also really slow paced, which I think surprised me a bit, but it made sense for the story because it kind of gave the reader an insight into the boring and solitary life that Poppy lives. I thought we were onto something good with this. But then I continued on with the series, and what was the purpose of this book? It felt like the only meaning of this book was just to go through some trope checklist. It was so repetitive at times. The dialogue and scenes, I felt I was just reading the same thing over and over again. I don't know where the point 25 comes from, but I'm not gonna continue with the series. I simply don't care at this point. Then I read The Baby Dragon Cafe. Sapphira runs a baby dragon cafe, and she's always dreamed of having her own dragon. And that's when a handsome guy shows up and needs help training his dragon. This was like combining the Pumpkin Spice Cafe and How to Train Your Dragon. I did not go into this thinking it would contain a lot of world building or an advanced magic system or anything like that. I expected it to be a cozy fantasy, which it was and which I like to read, but it was also pretty cringe and predictable. And I did feel a lot of the same things reading this as I did when I read the Pumpkin Spice Cafe, and therefore the rating is actually the same. Then at last I read Wicked Beast. I'm actually not done with this because I'm filming this on Halloween, but I expect to finish this today as part of my readathon. From what I can say so far, then the gothic vibes are great. The premise of the story I really like, but I just feel like it's missing a little bit. The writing could use a bit more work in some places. The sudden lust and spice scenes came on way too early, and it also feels a bit out of place in most instances. If it ends in the way I think it does, then it was